Yeah. So what's it like being the head guy at CB for all of their research department? That would be pretty daunting in my opinion.
You get really keenly aware of the fact that there's 4 time zones in the U.S. And they, so you're up early, you're up late, and ultimately you are the last line for when folks have a problem or they need an answer, they need a solution. When I say problem, what I mean is you're a part of their solution for the challenges they have, right? So whether you're in Boston or Atlanta or in Los Angeles, and everywhere in between, you're part of that solution.
Well, there has been a shift of wind in the real estate Atlanta market, and he is the reason why. And I am joined none other by Dan Wagner, our new Chief Data Officer of our Lee Atlanta office. Dan, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Great to be with you, Willie.
Well, let's talk about you. Let's talk about kind of where you grew up, your professional career, and how you ended up today, and then we can kind of dive into that a little deeper.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I've lived in Atlanta the bulk of my life, but I actually grew up in New Jersey until I was about the age of 12, and then we moved up to the state of Maine.
Okay, great. I've never been.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I want to go. It looks like a cool spot to be.
Yeah, Maine's a gorgeous state. Had a good time up there growing up. Very cold. You'd skate in the winter and do some snowmobiling and
good
stuff.
Good oysters out there, right?
Some seafood's amazing. Yeah. The lobster, you can go down to the docks and get a lobster for $3 or $4.
Can't beat that.
So I was living in Maine, and I decided to move to Atlanta because I knew the job market was good, and I decided not to go into law school. I was accepted to law school and decided, I think I'm just going to move to Atlanta and get a job.
Yeah.
So packed up my stuff in a U-Haul with about $300, and I moved to Atlanta hoping to find a job, and I did. And it was with a commercial real estate developer, and I was answering phones and making copies and stuff like that, and came on with them full time and started doing some data analysis and GIS work, which is Geographic Information Systems work, and wound up doing some work actually on the Mall of Georgia back in the day.
Great. Wow.
So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. So you kind of just fell into real estate, and then you got your first big hire, right? And where was that job?
Yeah. So it was a company at the time that was called, it was a very long name. It was CNM Ben Carter. There was also a Ben Carter Properties and a Ben Carter Associates. And I was making copies, answering phones, doing some grunt work, and there was a gentleman there that worked there that kind of gave me a little bit of an entryway into what research was, and we started working with data and tracking data and doing demographics, and I got hooked. It was something that I found a lot of opportunity in and interest in, and I found myself more focused on the data than the deal, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I just kind of progressed and started working, about 1.5 to 2 years after that job, I started working at a firm called Grubb & Ellis, which was a really reputable firm. They went through some proceedings and they got absorbed later on, but learned a lot there. Mm-hmm. Had some great folks that I worked for, some great managers. And really, that's where I cut my teeth, I think, on the real estate research.
So went from Grubb & Ellis, and then you went to the big dog, correct, at CBRE?
Yeah, so it was interesting. So a couple of stop-offs. So I worked at a company called Advantis for a while. They're a wholly owned subsidiary of the St. Joe company. St. Joe owns approximately 1% of the state of Florida. And worked at Advantis for quite a while, about 10 years, and then went back to Grubb for a couple of years, and then the downturn hit.
Yeah.
And as we sort of, a lot of us flee to safety, in a downturn, and actually did some appraisal work.
Okay.
And not long thereafter, I moved over to CB. Yeah, and was at CBRE for 10 years.
Wow.
In several different capacities.
Yeah.
So
So you were there head of research for the Atlanta office, correct? And
I
then
s-
you got promoted to, I'll let you kind of elaborate how your role transitioned there.
Yeah, so I started at the local office and kind of worked my way up into a management role at a regional level in the Southeast at CB. Great experience. Got a lot of great exposure to many clients and producers over there that gave me a great education. And so again, moved into a regional role and then started doing some thought leadership, which is, kind of gets you out of sort of the data maintenance game and allows you to expand your breadth and your capabilities and start talking about how the economy can impact commercial real estate, maybe what to expect in the future, and did some forecasting, worked with some great people at Econometric Advisors, which is another subsidiary of CB. And then eventually, about a year and a half ago, I was tapped for the national role in research at CB.
Yeah.
So responsible for 80 plus markets around the country, upwards of 250 to 300 reports, or folks that report up to me eventually. And it was another level of education.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
Around systems and data and people and hiring structures, and it was another level. Yeah.